You know, Tom,
all for you, Ramon.
if you're trying to get more members, you're just gonna end up losing members.
Oh, just members like you, though, Ramon. Oh, hang on. That wasn't very nice at all, Tom. Oh,
Remember-
you're listening to the Hundredth Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon. We are recording this on December 16th, 2013. And so how's things going over there in Japan, Ramon? I saw the sun shining through your window when I looked at you on Skype there earlier.
You know, it's funny you said that because yesterday I was riding my bike on to the train station, which it takes me like 4 minutes or 5 minutes to ride my bike to the train station. And I see the grid pattern in the sky. You know, our friendly service of chemtrails.
Those are condensation trails. Get it right. Come on.
Yeah. That's just my imagination.
Come on, you got to toe the line here, Ramon. Be a company man.
I'm gonna be a company man. I need to make more money than I'm making now.
Yeah,
But anyway,
well, I haven't noticed those here for a while just because it's been cloudy.
yeah, I was actually surprised, but it was the best one I've seen in Japan, which it was like you can see the grid patterns perfectly, like, you know, the crisscrosses, you could see
Really?
them all over the place. You could see where the one in the different levels where it was just laid, it starts to expand, completely expanded, like you saw all the different ones at different levels. So that, unfortunately, I was by myself and there was nobody to point that out to.
Did you get any pictures?
No, because I was running late for the train. But yeah, I was thinking, damn, I should take a picture.
Yeah, that whole thing, I just can't believe that the population isn't in an uproar over that, at the very least, because of the pollution. I mean, if you look up and you see that at the very least those things are making my sky cloudy. If they're completely innocent and just some anomaly of the weather conditions, then that's all fine and dandy and everything. But there's something different going on there, and I'm losing my sunshine. So I would think they'd be upset with that at least.
Here's a funny one coming out of China, and I forgot to post it. My wife showed it to me, and she listens to this radio show where basically they look up like very funny or weird news or strange news, and do it bilingual in English and in Japanese. So anyway, it's hilarious because this news comes out of China and it's about their air pollution problem. The the PM 2.5, and that fog that you see in the air. China came out with a report saying how that it's actually good for China. One, because it's a sign of their economic growth. Two, it strengthens your immune system. I can't remember all of them, but
really.
Yeah, like a bunch of bullshit, like straight out bullshit, like
bullshit.
And I was just telling my wife, like, okay, I would be shocked if any older people buy this, because they gotta remember what their air looked like when they were kids and what it looks like now. Like if you see pictures of Beijing and the major cities, you just completely disgusted. But anyway, I'll move on to some quick news so we can get to our guests. This is a news that I remember I mentioned this like several months ago, but the reason why I'm re-talking about this is because it came out again on a different news source, and so it's getting its wings back. And it's the Mexican government releases proof of ETs and ancient space travels. So it's basically
that's that one that Nassim Haramein and Klaus Stana put out, right?
Exactly. And I guess somebody else found it and is making noise again. All right, and here I posted a video on the main on Facebook too, but also on the main webpage, and it's a video of this Tai Chi master, I'm trying to remember his name. Sensei Kanzawa. Yeah, Sensei Kanzawa. They bring him to America and they put him in front of. First, they put him in front of some llamas. I believe it's llamas or the other ones, and he puts them all to sleep, like by waving his hand. And then they put him with a bunch of bisons, buffaloes, and he puts them all asleep. And then he goes in, and the main bull is like standing in front of him, and then he moves back away from him in the video. And there was like the owner of the ranch and a veterinarian, and they were both very skeptical. He was like, "This man's crazy going in there. Just us opening the door arouses them." He says, "In 15 years, I would never go in there while they're there." So, and he says, "I've never seen no human person stand that close to him." So you see like these bulls just fall out of sleep, and all he's doing is waving his hands at the animals, back and forth. So he was watch the video. I don't want to give it all away. It's an amazing video, and to me, it's on that TV show Superhuman, done by Stan Lee, the owner of Marvel Comics. Right. Yeah. Anyway, this is something I couldn't find a news article for, but these guys, I love these guys on Facebook, Living Off the Grid. I don't know if you know them, Tom, but I'll read this quick little picture that they posted here. Trying to get the sun out of the way. Solar powered tent. Flexible photovoltaic cells generate 800 watts of electricity on a rough 16 by 20 foot surface. This could enable the charging of gadgets, night vision goggles, and more without the need for generators. It can also come in handy in case of a natural disaster response. So in the picture, you see this tent, and then you see this canvas covering the tent, and there's like solar panels on there. So finally, I get to see that rollout.
That thing's pretty cool. I'm looking at it right now. That's pretty damn cool. I wonder, did you happen to see what the price tag for that was?
No, because they post things, but the only problem I always have with Living Off the Grid is that they don't never post any links to the things they post, but they post a lot of amazing ideas of living off the grid. So that's why I really like them. And if you guys get on their Facebook page, you can find like all sorts of things from how to clean water just with gravel and dirt, to making rocket, what is that called? The rocket heaters and things like that. Anyway, that's it for the news. And any other news, Tom? I want to mention something about our guest before you read his bio.
No, you go ahead on.
Well, I recently got a Kindle, so I was able to download his thing there, and I only had a couple hours before, so I kind of cheated and used the speech to text and listen. And I was just so amazed, and I'm always amazed how any person, can apply their mind to research something. And this guy did some hardcore researching and thinking and gnawing at it consistently over the information. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy this guest. And I can't wait to finish the rest of the book. I only got to chapter 1. But I would suggest you guys get this book. Go ahead, Tom. Who do we have?
All right, we have Ethan Indigo with us tonight. He's the son of a farmer and a nurse who later lived with artists. Ethan scribes, paying homage to Orwell's 6 rules, mainly number 6. Break any of these rules sooner than say anything outright barbarous. Ethan writes towards a more peaceful world with a sharp and unique perspective. Ethan proudly dropped out of high school, though he later admittedly graduated on time. He later dropped out and moved to the mountains. He began snowboarding, which led him to travel and learn Tai Chi, Chuan Yoga, and meditation. Always writing, Ethan's many political articles have appeared on the leading alternative news websites with global audiences as well as several magazines. Ethan wrote the Complete Patriot's Guide to Oligarchical Collectivism, published by Progressive Press, in which he explores history, philosophy, and activism through an Orwellian lens. His second book is The Matrix of Four, The Philosophy of the Duality of Polarity. It's on developing individual consciousness and understanding of political consciousness. His metaphilosophy provides insight on meditation as well as observation of all situations through universal ideas, leading to the idea of the righteous rebel and the nullisis that can lead to an intuitive recognition. Down and Out in Mendocino is Ethan's first work of fiction and one of his first books on the genre of Potfiction. It brings you to the tiny coastal village of Mendocino via gut-busting traverse through Northern California eccentricity. It is a hilarious story of a small-town mystery transformed into a misadventure of wide-reaching paradigm proportions. The Terrorist Letters is Ethan's second piece of fiction and is set in uptown Manhattan. It is the story of Sean, I love this guy's last name, Sean Institute, written in response and reaction to the Fukushima disaster. But it is much more than that. It is a complete story of graffiti, blunts, discussions on physics, and rumors of ageless archons and extraterrestrial invasion. 108 Steps to Be in the Zone is a powerful and inspirational exploration of the metaphysical number 108, which can be utilized to enhance intuition, and 108 steps to develop yourself in the toxic postmodern world. Tibetan Fusion describes how to meditate, how to perform the 5 Tibetan rites of rejuvenation, and how to build your energy via simple yoga, tai chi, and qigong in combination with the 5 Tibetan rites of rejuvenation. A Holiday Hazing, Santa Claus Syndrome is Ethan's latest work, which is an off-the-wall look at postmodern society that you have to read to even begin to see the scope of the idea and its influence. Ethan Indigo, he actually contacted us via Facebook, and when I started digging into all of his articles, oh my God, he is all over the place on the web, and I was pretty surprised that I hadn't stumbled across him prior. Welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio, Ethan.
Peace, you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, this is awesome.
I'm proud to be here.
Yeah, I can feel this is going to be a good show.
I was thinking about what you said about Tai Chi in relation to the Matrix of Four. I practice Tai Chi, and I feel like it's real, tangible magic, if you will. And the first thing in learning Tai Chi, we have this physical awareness of ourselves, and then we have this secondary awareness of others around us as we literally try to mimic our teacher. And thirdly, we start to realize what it takes to influence our surroundings, be it another person or something else in the physical environment. And fourthly, we have this kind of magical sense, this metaphysical observation that's not necessarily tangible, but very much like a dream that we all can understand. Of course, you have a dream. I've had dreams before. And so this magic, this chi, if you will, this energy, this bioelectricity really leads to intuitive understanding and metaphysical awareness of our surroundings entirely.
So before we dive into too many meat and potatoes here, I want to get a little background on you. Where are you from, and what actually prompted you to start getting into the metaphilosophical areas and research?
Well, sometimes, have you ever seen The Jerk? Sometimes I feel like that guy, The Jerk.
Yeah, all I need is this lamp and this ashtray.
Yeah. And what was his father's advice? You know, the difference between crap and Shinola, and don't trust Whitey.
Right. Right.
So, but no, my dad is a blues musician, and my mother was a nurse. God bless her soul. She passed away a number of years ago. I grew up on a farm, and I also grew up in Uptown Manhattan, and that combination of
And we don't know each other.
Yeah, maybe we do. Or I'm sure there's maybe 2 degrees of separation, minimal, but maybe. Where were you?
I grew up on 110th Street.
Well, I went to Central Park East on 106 in Madison, but I lived on 218th Street and 168th Street, uptown more. But I literally went to where the Graffiti Hall of Fame is.
Yeah.
I went to that school, Jackie Robinson High School, Central Park East Secondary School, and it was actually an alternative education kind of test pilot. We used to call ourselves guinea pigs, but what we did was really study in depth, and we really learned to learn and learned to question. And I think going back to the chemtrail issue and all these, things that you mentioned in the news, like, what is the problem today is people really don't question. And I think 9/11 was a big push for that. I noticed questioning really became a taboo action after 9/11,
Yeah. It seems like the questioning is such a dangerous thing, because even growing up in with religion, questioning was always the worst thing you can do, especially if you start thinking for yourself.
It's so true. Like, all your Catholic school friends, right? What happened when they questioned systems? They got the ruler, or they got back in class, or their parents or something. Yeah. So we can see that in our whole upbringing. I like to point out in the holiday hazing idea, the Santa Claus syndrome, is that when we're most impressionable, we actually are influenced to not question. Reasoning that thought is that through the process of presenting the Santa lie, which the weatherman reinforces, our parents reinforces, Uncle Bobby, all of our whole family, and then we find out that they were all lying to us, and that the lie was so big and it was much just beyond our scope. It was there before we were born, and we learned that questioning lies and realizing reality can be a painful event, because it's not so painful, oh, Santa doesn't exist. The pain comes from everyone lied to me. And why the heck is that?
Yeah, but then we turn around when we grow older and lie to our children too, because it was done to us.
And I think back to like 9/11, it goes right to 9/11. Why did people not question literally physics? Well, because they were told, hey, Santa's real, effectively.
Right.
Yeah, but on the upside, not to go off too much, I read a story about the whole thing with Santa, and how the kids themselves do their own research and find out that Santa's not real. They go on the internet, and like there's been a lot of stories where parents are like, "Oh, the internet's too much," because the kids are doing the research and finding out, oh, it's bullshit.
That's great. Well, and even before the internet, right? We still right around that age of 3, 4, 5, we would Santa aside, but Santa included, every kid I know and myself, we would get into this questioning line, why, until the adult around us couldn't answer anymore. And so even without the internet, even we were like little detectives at that age. Well, how could his suit stay clean down the chimney? Magic, And so the Santa Claus story is kind of like the magic killer, if you will. Because like I was saying about Tai Chi, and you're talking about that Tai Chi master, like I've seen stuff like that and felt the chi, you know, and it's real magic. Whereas the Santa Claus story kind of builds up this notion of magic and then says, well, you know what? Yeah, there's no flying reindeer, and you might as well just assume that all other intangible is shite. And the only thing that matters is what you get under the tree at the end of the day.
No, Santa's real. You know, since you're on the Santa story, I gotta tell this kind of a sad story. When I was a kid, I was in first grade, and I was you know, they were talking about Santa and him coming down the chimney, and I was like, well, I guess Santa doesn't come to our neighborhood. And she was like, why?
Right.
I said, because we all live in apartments or projects, and we don't have. And she just, this saddened face, I remember this like it was yesterday. Her saddened face came over the teacher, and she was like, so she came up with something quick. She was like, "Oh, you just leave the window open a little bit for him to come in, and he can slip right through in." And I was like, "My mother would kill me if I let any of the heat out. You know how cold our apartment gets."
That's hilarious. Well, you know, and a lot of people, as soon as like I even reference the phrase Santa Claus syndrome, and as soon as I start to delve into the idea, I get a lot of hazing. I get some hate, you know. But the reason I think that is because we tend to equate Santa with Jesus, and actually they're not. Santa next to the celebration of, you know, the birth of Christ is just an add-on, an attachment. But even back a couple thousand years ago, or almost 2,000 years ago now, when Christmas was first implemented in Rome, the Christians didn't like it because they felt, because of, in the Bible it mentions, remember me in my death, not my birth. And they believed that birth celebrations were for earthly kings, not for someone such as Christ.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, so even back in the day, they were like, no, this is not, you know, this is not what it's about. And so yeah, they literally combined this new celebration of the birth of Christ with the Saturnalia celebration, which was this pagan celebration of the seasonal days lengthening, beginning right around the 22nd and 25th.
Yeah. Yeah, because the other one I started questioning when I was younger was the Christmas tree didn't make any sense to me, because I was like, since when in Israel or those desert places do they have Christmas trees?
Right.
And it's back to the pagan influence and combination, like the Yule log. It just comes from the idea that being evergreen, the sun kind of defeats the darkness, and the evergreen represented that earthly vitality and, you know, continuous green birth.
Right.
No.
So it's really a pagan holiday. I mean, even to begin with. But I mean, I love the story of Christ. I love Christ, but Santa, the influence that the Santa Claus story results in, for one, people observe the materialism that it results in, but I think it's lends to this apathy, which is the biggest problem that the white Western world is facing right now. That, you know, Western society as a whole, we are not questioning the corruption and the environmental destruction and all these systems that are failing us. We literally are kind of trained. And when are we most impressionable? When are we most potentially trained? At a young age. And so it's almost like we volunteer to love this and revere this training system.
Yeah, I would say more than just a white Western, because even here in Japan, actually, I would say it's, you know, it's a weird holiday here, because the decorations, they go all out for the decorations, especially in the Kanto area, and more than I see in New York, and
Really?
or yeah, I mean, they really go all out. I mean, there's decorations everywhere. it has nothing to do.
And coming back to Japan, like I was feeling that we touched base on this earlier about the secrecy law in relation to our apathy and this postmodern environmental destruction that we just kind of shrug off. And in 1984, there's the story has the atomic war and the depleted resources, the ever shrinking rations. And in Japan, surely the quantity of clean water is becoming an issue, and clean air, of course. And so, just the same as in 1984, first there's the atomic / nuclear disaster, and then comes the secrecy law and the depleted resources, if you will. And so it's very Orwellian in every aspect. There's the limitation of resources and the limitation of free speech. So it's
right. Those are the first two major steps, right?
Yeah. So do you think that they're gonna use this whole Fukushima radiation thing and maybe combine with the Russian one, Chernobyl, to get a stronger grip?
I think there is that potential, and I almost think like that they don't know what they're doing. This nuclear experiment, this global nuclear experiment, I think is something that's out of control even to the powers that be. In relation to the chemtrails, I think personally that a lot of that is they're experimenting in ways to clean the atmosphere by injecting the heavy metals into the atmosphere and attracting the reason they call radioactive elements they call it fallout is because it literally goes up into the atmosphere and comes back down in precipitation. So there's quite a lot of radioactive elements still from the nuclear detonations that took place, decades ago now, let alone the Fukushima elements also. So maybe it's a possibility that they don't know what they're doing. They're just kind of experimenting in injecting these particles into the atmosphere and trying to clean it up that way. And I've noticed that a lot of the metals, they're negatively charged metals, and then there are also a lot of blood, very
right.
strange things, and it's almost as if they're, just trying, different things.
Yeah,
to see if they can.
I did a couple of mind experiments myself over the whole chemtrail thing, playing the devil's advocate and trying to come up with reasons why somebody would think that this would be a good thing, and understanding that if they were to bring this out on the public stage, that they'd never get it approved. So they figure for for our best good, for the best for the future of mankind, that they would do this, secretly and trying to the whole thinning of the ozone layer, and trying to block some of the radiation that's coming in, and I thought about other things that potentially could be benefits for lower down in the atmosphere. I haven't really come up with much there yet, but I think the only thing I could come up with was sort of a radiation type shielding that they were trying to implement. If I was looking at it from if I was in that position and going, wow, we have a problem here, and this is a solution. How can we implement this? And it still just doesn't. I couldn't come up with really good, solid reasoning behind it personally. But I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I've given a thought to that too, Tom, and The only thing I can see is maybe some kind of genetic manipulation or enhancement or something that they're either experimenting or implementing, because the biological and the metal is just very strange.
Yeah, the biological stuff, those were pretty isolated events, I think. I don't think that's been as widespread as it could potentially be, I don't think. But I think maybe that was like the same kind of stuff like they did in San Francisco and stuff during World War II. You know, you know, test the population, test it on a significant number of people. Let's see how fast this travels, type thing. So back, we went off on a sidetrack there. Back to you, Ethan. So after high school, what happened? Where'd you go from there? I mean, how'd you get into writing? Is it just something, a passion that you had?
I've always wanted to write, and I guess I'm so narcissistic that I think I could write something that could positively make an impact. And a lot of it in writing, you learn, in researching, you learn about the subject and so on, and you also learn about your own perspective, your own character, and that you might not necessarily notice otherwise. But you also notice and learn about things you might not expect. And a lot of what I've learned in writing is that people need to wake up, and I think it's happening. But it's so hard to get past the mainstream media dumb down, that even family members and friends, it's really hard for them to listen to what I'm saying, because it's so not what everyone else is saying, even though I will gladly always back it up with facts, especially as it relates to corruption and environmental destruction, which I think all those things require our questioning at the very least, and we don't even do that. And at first I wanted to write just for simple reasons, just as my hope and hobby, but now I feel that it's the best way I can make a positive impact.
Right. Okay.
What's the famous saying, Tom? A prophet is never welcome in his own town.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, I definitely feel that. Jesus was right on that one. I think it's a physician is never a healer in his hometown, but maybe there's a bunch of variations too. But yeah, that's very, very accurate.
Yeah,
and it's funny.
We hit that resistance. We hit that resistance on all levels of our interactions with people, whether they're somebody we see as a peer in the woo-woo world or not. We still continually, at least I do, I continually butt up against that pre-programmed conditioning that we all go through, and most of the time people don't understand that they're doing it. They're not aware of it. But yeah, we definitely.
Yeah, going back to being on the streets of Manhattan as a youth, I remember in the early late 80s being told by older teenagers, I was 12, they were 14 type of relationship, stay away from the Catholic priests over there. Yeah, they're that guy's a molester, stay away from them. I'm like, I didn't believe them, right? And years later, it comes out that not only were they doing that, but it's one could say it's a global event that was covered up all over the place. And going back to that, the streets always know first, and the streets will always tell you the truth first. And guys like you and myself, we're kind of on the streets right now. We're on the fringe of the traditional and mainstream. I like to call the difference, partly just because it rhymes, but it kind of hits too. It's the difference between the street angle and the straight Anglo. And so if you're like a straight Anglo traditionalist, it's going to be really hard for you to accept that Catholic preachers have done such a thing. Whereas when, on the street, you heard it first, so it's nothing new.
Yeah. Okay, well, so let's dig in. Let's go ahead and jump in and dig into the matrix of four, the duality of polarity. Now, this is actually a pretty interesting observation, and I haven't ever seen anybody come at this with quite this angle. And the more I got into the book here, the more I started, the lights started to come on. Okay, and I started to really grasp into what you were seeing. I haven't quite finished the book yet, but there's definitely you do a great job of showing that matrix and showing that it's there. One of those things that is right in front of our face type things, but we never really see it because we've taken it for granted all this time. So tell us a little bit about the matrix of four. Exactly what is the matrix of four?
Well, for me, it started in 1984. George Orwell describes the inner party, the outer party, the proles, and the suggested and elusive brotherhood, right? And extrapolating on that, 1984 reflects and is an allegory unto itself of Plato's Socrates' allegory of the cave. In the allegory of the cave, there's four character types. There's the chained, who are attached and forced to watch shadows on a wall that are depicted by the controllers. And then there's the unchained, which are just as controlled, but they're so captivated with the images on the wall displayed by the captors and the controllers that they don't need chains. And in that story, the fourth aspect is the freed prisoner, who goes through some turmoil and ends up outside in the real world and sees that the sun is the real light and sees these real three-dimensional objects cause shadows, not just these shadows in the cave. And one could abstract television is very much like the allegory of the cave, but even just political rhetoric can be much like that imagery. And so noting those aspects, the characters in 1984 and the allegory of the cave is one of the most prominent allegories for the last couple thousand years. It's in the movie The Matrix, embedded completely. Neo is the freed prisoner, if you will, from this electronic cave where everyone is linked up and observing this false reality, this image displayed by the controllers. And so all these things kind of correlated to lead me to research first for, and next to for, what I call the righteous rebel, which is the freed prisoner, which is the archetype of that Neo represents in the movie The Matrix. Right. To begin with, there's what I call the four aspects of reality. Frequently pointed to.
Wait, hold on one second.
As mind, body, spirit, right? And go ahead.
No, you cut out. So if you care to repeat that.
I was saying the what I call the basis of four in reality is often noted as a trinity in a mind, body, and spirit terminology, lacking the fourth part, which would be the natural. But on that point, the mind, the mental aspect is the duality of polarity of arithmetic, which is multiplication and division, and addition and subtraction. And so all of mathematics is based on those four arithmetic operations, as complicated as mathematics gets.
Right.
So, and on the universal aspect, the orbit, all spheres in orbit of one another are in the duality of polarity, the equinoxes and the solstices. And that's not just here on Earth, that's just everywhere, and that has gravitational rotation. So those two aspects of four are where I begin. The next aspect is our individual physical, which is the breath. Every breath we take has four parts, and it's the inhale and the pause full, and the exhale and the pause empty. And then I break it down into the spiritual through Om, which at its basis represents four stages of consciousness, the sleep state and the wake state. We go through daily, on a daily basis, usually, if we get sleep, right? And the third state is equivalent to being in the zone, where one does incredible athleticism or creativity with minimal effort. And the fourth state is equivalent to Christ consciousness or Buddhahood, if you will. Lifting the veil, behind the veil, is the fourth point. And so with those four aspects, I kind of started to look at not only meditation and intuition, but political observation. And in that inward introspection combined with outer look at observation, I call it a metaphilosophy because it combines those inward and outward observations.
That's pretty interesting. I'm, I know that you actually showed quite a few examples in your book on a lot of the different symbols and such that we find on the planet and throughout history. I'm curious on the application, understanding this matrix of four and how it is it's appearing to be one of those fundamental, one of those fundamental truths of reality that we're experiencing here. That things are, possess that property of four. I'm curious on how you would take and use this metaphilosophy in, say, research. Say I wanted to look into out-of-body travel, or just pick something out of the air. What would be the approach in using this process? How would I apply this in my research?
That's a great question. I think the first important thing to look at is we tend to operate our mind state in polarization, not necessarily through the duality of polarity, but in a singular polarity. Take just the expression of how warm or hot it is. That's something that's an infinite scale, but we relate it to according to how we feel hot or cold. So the first important step is to see, is there where are the polarized points in taking this exploration, this meditation, into looking into some kind of psychic phenomenon. So first, I think, is seeing where the individual polarity may be. And I think with something like that, it's first expressing where you want to look. Are you looking inside oneself for the answer, or outside oneself? So that's one polarity, I think, in trying to grasp intuition. Secondly, beyond that is I'm having a brain fart here.
Oh, I have them all the time.
utilizing the inward and outward observation. If you're trying to, say, influence someone, you would think of sending out energy to heal them, maybe. And so if you're trying to get information from remote viewing or what have you, you would think about information coming into you. So I mean, one notation, one abstraction of four is the divided line. Goes back to Socrates as well, where he pointed to four aspects of reality, similar to what Donald Rumsfeld kind of alluded to with his unknown knowns. Do you guys remember that?
Vaguely, yeah.
He was speaking about where the
weapons of mass destruction, right?
Exactly, and right. He was like, "Well, and after elaborating on this and that, he said there's known knowns, and what he said is very true, but he left out like so many people do. He left out the fourth part. He noted that there's known knowns. There's things that we know. There's things that we can see, and there's unknown knowns. There's things that we just don't understand. But we don't even know that we don't know them, type of thing. Anyway, the fourth part that he left out was the known unknowns, the secrets, if you will, the instinctual understandings. And in that revelation, he kind of exposed himself because he was very much hiding secrets. He pointed to, there's things we know, there's things we don't know, there's things we don't know that we don't know, and then there's things that I know and things that you don't know that I know. So back to the divided line, firstly is what we can see, and then there's reflections of that. And beyond that, there's the second duality, if you will, is the intangible, the things that we cannot see, and the reflections off of that. So there's a real tree, and there's a reflection in the pond of that tree. And there's real theory, there's real mathematics, and then there's the abstractions off of that. I think utilizing the divided line can be helpful in intuitive kind of psychic grasping, if you will, if that kind of at all goes to your question.
So when you say the divided line, you're talking about a cross or
it's actually a linear presentation. It's a graph, and it starts off the first section. The reality is the biggest section, and it relates to the allegory of the cave in that there's an infinite amount of caves, if you will, to come out of. One of the caves may be just this adolescence in life. Another cave may be your preconception of political anything, or but so in the allegory of the cave, it's coming out and seeing this real reality instead of reflections or shadows of reality. So it's a linear presentation where the abstractions of theory are the smallest part.
Yeah, I know that there have been countless times where I've dove into one subject or another and started researching, and then found myself when I get frustrated with it or think I have what I need out of that, years or months down the road, I see another aspect of it that was blatantly obvious to me, and so I'm actually seeing this as a kind of a formula. I kind of pictured it when I thought about how I would apply the matrix of before into my own personal research. I kind of pictured it as a plus sign that expands in all four directions, right? but breaking the subject down into the four topical areas that I can perceive, that I can see, and that, or intuit, and then using that as a basis for the further digging, and being able to put the my findings into their categories so that to continue to expand on. I think I could be much more thorough that way, actually. But
and back to the Trinity as opposed to the Quadrinity, if you will. Many times there's this dialectic is presented at the collegiate level and so on. Is it so? Is it not so? For instance, what influences one's being? Is it nature or nurture, right? So there's a lot of times in education and in society we get presented with these either or questions, right, that really don't, sometimes they don't even relate, but often they limit the discussion and the research, really. So instead of asking, is it this or that, sometimes we have to go beyond that. Is it both or is it neither? With the Hegelian dialectic in particular, there's the thesis and the antithesis and the synthesis. What is not extrapolated often enough is the nullisis, what I call the nullisis, which is none of that. And so in the United States and the world, there's a left-right paradigm all over the world where we're presented this or that, and then they come up with their synthesis, which is usually a watered down version that's really benefits no one looking at history and leading us to this point. So often, instead of saying, well, let's have the synthesis, we should say, let's have none of this, and the nullisis leads to that fourth part, that righteous rebel, which is back to the Om symbol behind the veil, the dot, the point that's frequently noted in Hindu traditions as the unsaid.
Right.
Yeah. There's another part of the I was reading because I only got a chance to read the first part. The part where you explain what a patriot is, and I love your take on what it was. You were going through the what I'm trying to remember, the
idiots, zealots, elitists, and patriots.
Thank you. I was having a brain fart.
No, I appreciate you noting that. I first asked the question on that tip. I was trying to explain to people what I thought a patriot was, and it was a far cry from what most people thought it was around me in the United States. And they all thought it was, whether they thought negatively of this character type or not, they all thought it was a uniformed soldier or a politician or something along that line, where I imagined Ben Franklin and these guys back in the day that didn't have any uniform, that were wearing Indian headdress, celebrating, throwing off the European conquesting tea and adopting being American, and they were celebrating American Indian values and wearing that headdress. They weren't hiding. And so I was looking at Patriot along those lines, along a questioning human being that really wants the best for his country. And I thought, well, what's country? Most people argue over that. And so I feel like country is locals, land, and liberty in this world, and definitely in the United States. But it's all of us together that are alive right now, and all of the elements around us, the water that keeps us alive, and the liberty that keeps us, happy and able to write and research and question and so on. But everyone else had these very institutionalized interpretations of patriotism, whether they thought it was good or bad. And so I looked at it just as a boil it down. How do people react to information? Well, idiots, they don't question at all. They don't question relevant information at all. Zealots, they only question in accordance to their preconceptions. And elitists question only how to keep that information for themselves and how to advance themselves through it. And patriots openly question information and share it. And with the Matrix of Four, there's a monkey elaboration too. I think you guys will like. Tom, did you see that part?
I did, yes.
Well, traditionally, the three wise monkeys, back to the constant elaboration, Trinity being a quadrinity lacking the fourth part. The three wise monkeys are often presented as hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil. And they very much reflect the idiot, the zealot, and the elitist. Because the elitist has his hand over his mouth like, I'm not telling you nothing. So the fourth monkey is fear no evil. And fear no evil, you guys familiar with Tai Chi, fear no evil holds his dantian, his abdomen. And that's where all movement begins in Eastern theology. And so fear no evil is unmoved. He has open eyes, open ears, open mouth. He'll tell you what's up. He sees what's up. He hears what's up. But he is unmoved and he is unafraid. And so, yeah, literally, fear no evil holds his dantian. And that's what I think really like a revolution today, for lack of a better words, is simply stopping, simply refusing to take part in the corruption and the environmental destruction going on whatever level one can personally do it, or calling it out, using one's eyes, ears, and mouth. This is like God gifts, that really makes us distinct from other animals, is our ability to share information, or as elitists go, hide it,
Right.
So right. Yeah, I think it does come down to literally being the fourth monkey, and making a stop without any fear, and using our eyes and our ears and our mouth,
Yeah.
You have to make the Lego statues for me now. I want that.
Yeah, I have one of those monkey statues right in front of me. It's all three of them climbed on each other's back. It's kind of like a totem pole style.
And Gandhi, I used for the epigraph of the Matrix of Four. First they laugh at you, then they ignore you, then they fight you, then you win. That's what Gandhi said. Right. And there was these Chinese emissaries that visited Gandhi at one point, and Gandhi was a man of no possessions, proudly so. He noted proudly that he only owned his spectacles and his garments, type of thing. But these Chinese emissaries visited him and brought with him the three monkeys. And Gandhi is actually the fourth monkey in his complete, behavior. And now buried where Gandhi is buried, there are the three monkeys as well. But he represents the fourth monkey completely, in that he made no action against people, always shared information openly, and he didn't hold anything against Hindu or Muslim. He there was none of that, and he was completely open.
Gandhi is one of my heroes, and actually I put a picture up of him, and I did that other quote. The one he's also famous for, which is be the change you want to see in the world. And I put that up. But he did something that I just found like it was not only one thing, but this one thing in particular. So I don't know how true this is, but it was in the part about his life where he was starving himself because the Muslims and the Hindus were fighting again. And so he was starving himself until people stopped doing that. And then this Hindu comes in and throws food at him and says, you're not gonna die on my account, so eat something. So he was trying to force Gandhi to eat something, and then the truth comes out that he actually had killed these Muslims, and had killed a child as well, a Muslim child. And Gandhi told him, well, then you must raise a Muslim child with Muslim values, yet still keeping your own values. And I just found that so amazing and breathtaking. The way he thought.
Yeah. I've heard that before. And it touches me again right now. You retelling it. It's talk about an amazing individual.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and what did Einstein said? He said one day people won't believe that the likes of Gandhi walk the planet or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we burned up this first hour already. If you can,
we did.
That. Yeah.
Oh wow.
We're wow. It went really fast. So we're going to take a short break, guys, and we're going to come back and we're going to continue talking with Ethan Indigo, and we're going to pick his brain some more. This guy's is a fountain of information, and wow, good stuff. And we have links to his Facebook page on the website here on the show page, and your books are available on Amazon, and you have them in Kindle too?
Yeah, I have. I published the Complete Patriots Guide with Progressive Press, and the other books are all ebooks currently, and I'm thinking about putting them in hard copy myself, but I need a publisher.
I can probably help you with that. We can talk offline anyway about that. But.
Okay, cool. Away. Nice.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to take a short break, and if you're not a member yet, I would urge you to go to the100thmonkeyradio.com and help support Ramon and I and become a member. And then you'll have access to hundreds of hours of extra content. So,
or make a little carving of the fourth monkey.
Oh yeah, that'd be good too.
Yeah, how about that, there.
Moans? If somebody sends us of the fourth monkey statue, then they'll get a lifetime membership.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great.
There you go. There you go, guys. Lifetime membership for the first one to send us what do we call this guy? The
Fear No Evil.
Fear No Evil monkey. And that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, guys. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
The love you deny is the pain you carry.
And we'll see you guys on the next slide.
Meditators, global banking gladiators, glowing tubes that mesmerize, netting minds like butterflies, hapless lying in the night like moths misled into a light. Information overload, trust me, then do what you're told. Tell me who you think I am, give me meaning in a head.